to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, soon to be joined by Rob, who's having a little bit of issues here, vehicular and all that kind of fun stuff there. But guys, we've been telling you that we were working on potentially having a guest here for you, a special guest. And guess what? For those of you lucky to be on tonight is the night here, as we're going to bring on our special guest here. This is a guy that, listen, if you know football point blank, you're going to know. You're going to know. And if you don't, shame on you. That's where it goes, point blank. James Canada, big game James Canada here, former defensive lineman, current host of the Big Game Sports and Entertainment Network, played at Nevada from 1994 to 1997, two-time Big West Conference honoree, inducted into Nevada's Hall of Fame in 2008. Drafted in the 6th round, played 5 years in the NFL, mostly with the Bucs there from 98 to 03. Played 3 years with the Dallas Desperados of the Arena League at 05 to 07. We're going to excuse that because it's the Arena League. It's not the Cowboys. It's okay. It's okay.
I appreciate that.
50 career games in the NFL, 10 starts, 72 tackles, 3 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. James, thank you very much for coming on with us here, man.
Man, Drew, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Like I said, we're going to talk defensive tackles. Why not get a defensive tackle here on to help give us a little insight here? Because listen, Rob and I, we have a good idea in football. We didn't play in the NFL. You did. You can analyze and break things down to a much better level than we can, or you can even validate some of what we're saying, or you can call me out my BS. That's fine too, as well. You wouldn't be the first, you won't be the last. All right. All right, guys. So we got 15 defensive tackles. We've been telling you, guys, we always tell you, this is a good group. This is a bad group, this draft. We tell you point blank right off the bat, which, hey, may not be the best for ratings at times, especially when we're talking about wide receivers here, which is definitely a poor group. Defensive tackles. This is the year. If you need to beef up your defensive line, this is the year to do it, guys.
Yeah.
And what did the Giants have so much trouble doing this year? Besides anything. The biggest thing was stopping the run on defense there specifically. It's been an issue for us for the last couple of years. Listen, Dexter Lawrence cannot continue to try to do this by himself. You saw him get injured this year. The man was on for almost every single play, it felt like, some points during the year. He can't do it, no matter how good he is, by himself. He needs help. We got 15 players here to go over. Now, you guys know, whenever we've done a mock draft, Rob and I have picked a lot of times 2 defensive tackles.
Right.
I don't think that's crazy.
It's not, Drew. Nowadays, the depth that you need when you get a team, the pass-heavy NFL has made it where if you're not too deep, we know you're not going to be exactly too deep in the NFL because of the 53-man roster. But if you don't have guys that you can shuffle in and out of that rotation that's going to be able to pin their ears back and get to that quarterback, or even that run-heavy game that you're going to get nowadays, that people are going to start to copy the Philadelphia Eagles because of the success they had this year, running the ball, bringing the run game back to the NFL, you're in the world of hurt. And Dexter Lawrence is probably one of my favorite defensive tackles in the NFL because of what he's capable of doing. But when it's one and he can start to get singled out a little bit because he doesn't have help alongside of him, it makes it a little bit tougher, which, I'm and I know we're not going to turn this into a Giant show, but I am waiting for your man, Kayvon Thibodeau, to break out and play the way that I know he's capable of playing, because he was the one that I was a real big fan of as well at Oregon. And then I was like, man, that's a piece there that could be good for that Giants defense.
Listen, I've been saying all year long, when he got hurt and Azeez Ojulari, the former Georgia player, went in to be his replacement there, you saw a big drop-off in the run defense. It's a shame always, and I think it's too sidetracked. It's a shame always. I feel like edge rushers get judged so much based on what they do in the pass rush. And they forget. Like, if that's the case, Yannick Ngakoue wouldn't be changing teams every year, guys. Point blank. Is a run defense part of this as well. Same as Brian Burns. Brian Burns, and we've said before, he's probably overpaid. That's fine. It is what it is. I'm not paying him. But $30 million a year, the reason he got that is because it's not just because he's a good pass rusher. a guy who consistently gets like 8 to 11 sacks a season, which is still legit. But he's a guy who stops the run.
Right.
That's a key component of that position everybody wants to forget there. But all right, let's get into our defensive tackles here. We got James just for a little bit here. We want to hear some of the big names here, what the big game James here thinks of these guys here. We got to, of course, start off with the guy who is, listen, I'll call it this way. If it wasn't for positional value, he'd probably be the number 1 pick in the draft. Point blank. I do think he's that good. And that's Mason Graham coming out of Michigan here. And guys, this is a guy who he's big. He's 6'3", 320 pounds, 21 years old, from Mission Viejo. Am I saying that right, James? You're from
I'm from the Bay Area in California. But it's Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo. I remember that you were from Cali there. I'm like, you can help me with that. That's why we had James on here, specifically to help us with the pronunciation of California terms. This past year, 12 games, 45 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 1 pass deflected, freshman All-American in 22, second team All-American, first team All-Big Ten in 23. This past year, unanimous All-American, first team All-Big Ten, Rose Bowl defensive NP. Point blank, I'm telling you, this is I'm telling you, my number 1 prospect, if it wasn't for positional value, not to bring up Saquon on the Giants podcast, but it's kind of like that. Like, Saquon was the best talent coming out of that draft that year, point blank.
Right.
The question was, you don't take him at 2, he's a running back. This is the best talent probably in this draft, but he's a defensive tackle. That's not a position you typically see in the top 5. James, what do you think of him?
I love Graham. I love the way they played in Michigan this year up front. I mean, I know they fell off, but if you go back even to that national championship year and what he was able to do and how they got after it, one thing that I believe that happened so much, and I find myself falling into this trap now that I feel like I talk about football more as trying to spread knowledge of players that's out there opposed to the game itself sometimes from, within the locker room. The defensive end position gets so much more value put on it, I think, by a lot of draft analysts, and the tackle can often get overlooked because a couple of years ago, you would have thought that Aiden Hutchinson and then the other defensive end who ended up tearing up the knee that got drafted late that was also projected to be a first round out of Michigan, you would have thought those are the only guys that play defense on that line. And then later on, you look at film and you see Graham, and then you see I think that his name is Grant, who's also projected to be like a top 3 round defensive tackle as well. And you watch these guys play and you break the film down. I love a guy that can be versatile. Like, I believe Graham can play in a 4-3 scheme or even a 3-4 scheme.
Mm-hmm.
When you want those bigger guys that you can slide out from that 3 technique or even from that 1 or 0 technique out to that 4-eye, which is just the inside shade of the offensive tackle because you got the stand-up guy on the other side of him. I believe Graham can do both of those things. He can do, he can play up along that line however you need him. He's not going to have to really stand up and put his hand up to get after the quarterback, which is good because he's better with that hand down in the dirt, honkering down. And then if you do put him in that 3-4 defense, he can help set the edge sometimes when you get that line stand-up guy blitzing. And that's hard to find because so often we talk about pass rush. Then later on it's like, no, they can't set the edge. It's like you can't have it both ways all the time, depending on what that guy's skill set is and what he has available and what we like to call his toolbox. What tools does he bring out of his toolbox and have available to him when he's playing? And Graham has a pretty big toolbox. Pause.
And it's weird because I feel like this is that player that you don't even look at the stat lines. And I know I'm giving stats here because we always do give stats, obviously. That's what everybody likes to look at here. You almost don't even want to look at the stat sheet because it doesn't tell you point blank what this guy does. I mean, teams really were avoiding him in the run game. That's how good of a run stopper. It was kind of like you see him at the line. Where is he? Okay, we're not running there. Like it was that kind of effect to him on that defensive line. He's got a great anchor. He's a disruptor. He's powerful. And weirdly enough, his swim move. Like you would think a guy like this, 320 pounds, this would be the bull rusher kind of tackle.
Right.
He's got a swim move. Like it's pretty damn impressive here. Now, I've seen him even in games collapse the pocket when he's being double teamed. I mean, I love seeing that because I always say, you get the jump going from obviously college to NFL. I don't want to see you do good. I want to see you dominate because you're going against the next level of opponents that every single one you're going to play against on Sunday was a star at their college.
Yeah. Did you see his USC game?
Yeah.
At all? Did you have a chance to watch that film? That's one of the films that I saw that kind of made me go, wait, hold up. Because USC at the time, their starting guard, he left and went in the portal. He's at Oregon, but the center's going into the draft. He's one of the top rated offensive linemen. And I think the other guard. So to watch what he did against that offensive, now we know USC didn't have the best year this year, but they still got a lot of big name guys amongst that offensive line that graded well enough that's supposed to have NFL grades. And to watch Graham do it in that game, that was just one of them. And then someone told me, look at the Penn State game. And I was just like, okay. You go through and you just look at different games and dissect it, but to watch how he picked apart and play, and like you said, the swim move, which he can hunker down and bull when he needs to. And when people go to set on the bull, it's like slip right to that move and he's off in that backfield disrupting stuff. And that's what you want to see, because so often you get defensive linemen that's one-dimensional. Like, he plays the run, he plugs holes well, he's very powerful, he can put pressure on the quarterback and close the pocket. But then they also about, he's got to work on escapability and hands and still be able to get to the quarterback.
Yeah,
he can do all of that. So like you said, that's what's going to make him a great pickup for someone in this draft, especially because everyone's focused so much on, I think, wide receiver, DB, because how heavy it is, to where teams that really need certain positions should be able to find the defensive tackle they want in this draft.
Yeah, and the versatility is what I love about him. You mentioned there as well, but especially for the Giants, because you can spell Dexter Lawrence, you can move him into nose tackle for a player or two to spell him. You can put him back out to the end of the 3-4 position there, and I think he does it well. Now, as far as the only knocks on you see him on, he does have shorter arms. That is going to be a somewhat of an issue. But listen, guys, that's not a killer. That's not like, oh my God, his arms are a little shorter. It's not like a T-Rex running out there in a football uniform, guys. It's like a couple inches shorter. People overcome that kind of stuff. And also, we mentioned as far as the stats not being great, I do see a little bit of trouble finishing plays at time there. And it's kind of like somebody else plays cleanup because he made the move and somebody else kind of gets to finish it. We saw a lot of that Dexter Lawrence at Clemson, guys. Like, point blank, that's what he was coming out. Remember, Dexter Lawrence, the knock on him was, he can't get to the quarterback.
Right.
He provides no pass rush whatsoever. Sometimes, listen, you get the right coach there. Andre Patterson for the Giants is a damn good defensive line coach, guys. Point blank. That's why they had him working on the edge position last year. He's a damn good position coach. If we trade back, and I've said this forever, if you don't like Shedeur, trade back, get a bunch of picks. I'm not a big Carter fan. The foot injury still scares the crap out of me. I think Hunter's overrated. I know people are going to get on me for that. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That Colorado didn't play anybody whatsoever. They played basically Pop Warner teams all year long. This is a guy that if you trade back a couple picks at that point, you can do a hell of a lot worse.
So your game for trading back, getting what you want. I mean, position of value. Need, I should say. Of value, and adding more picks.
Oh yeah, especially because if you add picks for next year, because if you trade back, let's be honest, you're not getting Ward, you're not getting Shedeur Sanders,
right? So
at that point, why not get the extra picks for next year? Get a guy like the mid-round of quarterback, and if he falls, you get extra picks to move up in 26 if you need to.
Right, which the quarterback class is supposed to be better in 2016.
Supposedly, but they say that every year. Who knows?
Yeah,
but yeah. So Mason Graham, top 10 pick, I think he's going to be. Probably the latter end of the top 10 there. But listen, somebody could shock me and take him quickly and go, you know what? I recognize the talent. I don't give a damn about the position. I'm taking him. Point blank.
It would surprise me, but at the same time, it's one of those picks I don't think you can be mad at if it happens. It's like,
and if you are and you're a fan of that team, you won't be for long.
Right.
You'll see him playing.
Drew, I think one of the biggest problems for some fans are they go out. They know quarterbacks, receivers, DBs, maybe a running back. And so when there's a guy at a position that you're not really familiar with because you don't watch the games, in depth and in detail week in and week out, you're like, boo, that's a bad pick. And it's just like other people look at it like, no, that's not a bad pick. That's a great pick.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many things, like who are they playing with is part of it as well. Because that's one thing you could say about Mason Graham is he is playing next to Kenneth Grant. Obviously, they're helping each other out too as well.
Right.
You can definitely sit there and say that. They got two of the top three defensive tackles playing right next to each other. That's not crazy. Yeah. So, you definitely got that. But I think he's going to be an absolute stud. So, all right, we got next up. Walter Nolen at Ole Miss there also played some time there over at Texas A&M back in 22 and 23. 6'3", 305 pounds, 21 years old, from Memphis, Tennessee. As we got Rob here now, finally. There we go. We got to shuffle around here. We got to shuffle. There we go. There's the shuffle.
Howdy, sorry I'm late, guys.
You're good. Good.
Rob, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. It's been an eventful past week.
Luckily, you have a fun T-shirt, so that makes up for it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's raining in Jersey, but I wanted to look like it was partying.
I'm not sure if you're about to go on a cruise or if you're about to try to sell me like a suitcase full of dinosaur eggs or something. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going on here. You're like,
welcome to Suitcase Park.
Anyway, Walter Nolen, 24, 13 games, 48 tackles, 14 tackles for loss. Freaking ridiculous number. 6.5 sacks, 3 pass deflected, 2 fumble recoveries, and an 88.9 PFF grade. Consensus All-American, first team All-SEC. He's agile. He's fast. He's got another guy with a great swim move. High motor, never gives up. I love that in a player. Never gives up. I want the constant motion. I want the guy that's running around nonstop. Penetrates very well, especially in the run game. He does need to refine his pass rush moves. He needs to also improve his hand technique. I feel like he's getting away with the fact that he's more athletic than a lot of the guys he's facing. And this is a guy that, listen, that'll work for so long. You hit the NFL, you're probably going to need to go beyond that. And he's going to be, needs to be coached up from that. But you see the fact that he's gotten away with it in the SEC even tells you how athletic and how powerful this kid is. To me, he's a mid to late first round guy, and I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed by taking him either. I really don't.
No, he has something that I like to call a factor grade. Like, a lot of time when you're in the meeting room, you would have, your coach is going to go through film with you, and you read stats, like you said, you don't like to get caught up in the numbers. But, Rod Marinelli, who's considered one of the best line coaches to ever work in the NFL, had a thing called factor grades. So if you get a plus, a double plus, plus minus, minus minus. They want to get a minus minus ever. But you might be in that play where you demand a double team. You hold the double team from that one technique where the center can't get off to help pick that blitz up with that 3. Tackle for loss is made by your middle linebacker, or your 3 technique comes in, makes a play, whatever, out that 4-3 defense. No one sees that on CBS, Fox, Amazon, or anything else. But in the meeting room, the whole defense knows that play was only made because you demanded a double team the entire time. You wouldn't let that center get off to the next level, or you created a new line of scrimmage. This guy, Walter Nolen, he is like the human factor grade. He's always doing something to where he's a part of the play even without making the play. And that's what you love to see with, your interior guys. You want them to be a factor all the time without even having to hear their name being called on the loudspeaker when you're in the stadium.
Yeah, and I see Money Mike here saying where'd he go? We had it here a minute ago. Oh, sorry, wrong person. Hirsch for real says we can get a stud at 34 like Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolen, or TJ Sanders. And I'm telling you, man, if Walter Nolen is there at 34, not to use a David Gettleman phrase, I know we don't like mentioning that man. I am running to the podium point blank with that card in hand. Like, if he's still available at 34, and I'm going to say this is going to sound crazy. We talked a minute ago about hypothetically if we trade back Mason Graham as the guy to look at. I would have no problem if we traded back, took Mason Graham, and then doubled down in the second round and took Walter Nolen. Could you imagine that defensive line with those two guys along with Dexter Lawrence? Woo.
It's a lot like a different defense.
That's that defense, especially when we did that secondary, still having good edge rushers there with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. Like that's and now Bobby Okereke at the linebacker position, guys. That's a legit defense. That's like transformative right there. I'm telling you, like that's how big I am on these tackles. And you guys know I'm the negative guy. I call it out like it is. Like I am the negative guy. I get it. Like. I am the guy who definitely gets the Debbie Downer here at that point there. I get to be the Debbie Downer. But listen, it is what it is. Sometimes you get great positions that you got to stock up on a draft because that's what they're good at. Don't go what you need necessarily unless it fits. If it fits, go crazy. You need tackles. This is a great draft for tackles. Double down. Go for it. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed with those guys.
And our depth at tackle has been terrible. So like,
oh my God, we've been counting on undrafted free agents, 6th-round picks,
Yeah.
like 7th-round picks. Like, listen, those guys pan out sometimes. Look at James, 6th-round pick himself.
Yeah.
I mean, it works out sometimes.
You're hoping your scouting
pans
department
out.
can do that, right? You're hoping your scouting department can go find 1 or 2 of those guys like myself to help relieve those all pros that you already have. And sometimes when you have one that's been there for a while doing it, you got to start to address that position earlier. Like you said, if Nolen is there at 34, it's some dirt out there on him on the internet that we don't know about. There's no way he falls.
I don't know about you guys, but I heard there was a picture of him in a gas mask. Perhaps we're gonna go learn. We're gonna go Tunsil on him like that.
Oh man, that worked good with Tunsil.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. I was like, why did we take him? And what was the kid from that went to Dallas? Laurel Collins. The police want to talk to him, remember? So he dropped, and he went to the Cowboys undrafted rookie free agent, but he was supposed to be like a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah,
I remember that. Like, take him with the 7th-round pick. Who cares?
Yeah,
right.
Take it.
Take the shot.
Right.
If he's a really horrible person, you could drop him. It's a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
Listen, I heard no one showed up to his birthday party.
That's what Kevin Costner told me.
Yeah.
All right, you got time for one more, James? I know you got to go at 9:30. You got time for one more?
I got time for a little bit more, man.
I don't want to hold you up, so feel free to let us know, man.
I'll let you know when I gotta.
He's like, don't you worry, I will tell you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right, next up is the teammate of Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. Another big guy here, 6'3", 339 pounds. Woo! That is
Dude's
crazy.
An athletic freak. What he is.
That man has definitely been hanging out with Eddie Lacy. We have to do an Eddie Lacy reference to every single episode. 21 years old.
All from the Golden Corral.
Merrillville, Indiana. In 23, 2nd team All Big Ten. This past season, 12 games, 32 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 5 passes deflected, 2 forced fumbled, 83.7 PFF grade, 3rd team All-American, and 2nd team All Big Ten. Which, first off, if you're a 3rd team All-American, but only 2nd team All Big Ten, kudos to the Big Ten. That's legit.
That's a lot of depth.
That's a lot of depth in one part. Yeah.
Damn.
Big size, like we said there. Guy is a gap plugger, point blank. Like we talked about Mason Graham even working with a guy like Dexter Lawrence. I like Kenneth Grant, and listen, if we got him, I'm not going to be upset. I don't think he's quite as good a fit because I feel like he's more of a pure nose tackle to a certain degree there because of the way he plays the game, where he wouldn't quite fit with what Dexter Lawrence already does, being the best nose tackle in the football, in football right now.
Right.
More athletic than you think for his size, so that's for damn sure. He does shed blocks. He does win one-on-one blocks when pass rushing. If you're going to do a pass rush move with a double team on him, you're going to have a little, you're going to probably stop him. He's not that guy necessarily. The only knocks really besides that is the fact that I do see him out of position at times. It's kind of like he's making his moves to get freed up, and then all of a sudden he goes, wait a minute, I'm not in the right spot anymore. And you do see that quite often. And sometimes you can coach that out, sometimes you can't. You got to have that awareness of where you're at while you're also trying to move it out. Obviously, James, you can tell that part of the story there. You know that.
Yeah, sometimes, Grant is in the spot where he's got that oh shit data boy play. You know what I mean? Like he'll make a great move, end up outside his gap. You're like, oh shit. Then he makes a play like, oh, data boy. He was another one in that USC game film that I had a chance to watch. He chased the ball down pretty well for a guy his size. And I think that's what caught me by surprise. He ended up out of his gap 2 or 3 different times. I'm like, damn, quit guessing. Don't go the wrong way. He's an A-gap player, ends up in B-gap, but then ran down the line almost like a defensive end to help get on the TFL. I'm like, what the? He's too big to be able to make plays like that. So those are some of the things that he can do. I've had some people argue with me and tell me that they thought that he was better than Graham this year. I was like, well, nah. I was like, I like both of them, and I think they complement each other very well. I'm not going to say that he's better, but I think playing alongside someone like that increased his draft value because they were able to put more eyes on what he's capable of doing. He's going to have to get a little bit more discipline and not guess as much as he does sometimes to end up out of position and using pure muscle and athleticism to get himself back in position at times to make plays.
I'll tell you point blank. If someone says Mason Graham is not as good as Kenneth Grant, there's a little cup they have to pee in real quick. I'm sorry, that's insane. Rob, what do you think of Kenneth Grant there?
Well, listen, he's a great
we
player.
broke James.
Like
Stop the camera. We broke him.
Listen, like you guys already said what he is. Like, I mean, he's an athletic freak. This guy like runs fast at freaking being pretty much 340 pounds, and he gets all over the place. But he's obviously the number 3 in this draft.
Yeah,
he's not the number 1. But kind of like what you said, Drew. I do think since you got the best nose tackle in the NFL, arguably the best, why are you going to try to replace that position right now, especially when, Sexy Dex is so young?
Yeah. Well, we've mocked him even before ourselves because he's the guy who was available. Like, if we get to pick 34, let's say hypothetically, and the Giants say, you know what, we really like Kenneth Grant. We need a defensive tackle. Here he is. It's not going to stop me from wanting him. Gotcha. I just would prefer a better fit for what we already have, if that makes sense. But sometimes you got to go, you know what? You take the best player there, especially when it's a position of need, and you just find a way to make it happen and make it work. Because you can coach around the talent you got. You can't coach around when you got no talent. That's what it boils down to. If I'm going to take somebody who I think, okay, this kid's going to make it in the NFL, he's going to be a damn good player. And listen, I'm not going to say crazy things like he's a Pro Bowler in the making and stuff like that. I think he's probably going to be an above average player in this league. It's my personal gut feeling. Now, you're telling me I'm going to get a guy who's an above average player in this league probably, or I can take another guy that might fit the scheme better or might fit in better what we need, but I don't think he's going to be above average, or I don't think he's a surefire thing. Mm-hmm. I want the surefire thing, guys.
Yeah, because then you can just work on coaching at that point.
Or I can just change up what I'm doing on defense a little bit. That's a great problem to have. Oh, no, I have too much talent at this position. What do I do now?
Utilize my talent.
What's the last time we have Giant fans could say that? Seriously, like, let's be honest. When's the last time we can say, oh, no, we have too much talent at this position?
10 plus years.
Yeah, it's probably with the running back position. We had, Derek Ward, Ahmad Bradshaw, and Brandon Jacobs back in the day. That's probably the last time we can say, oh, no, we have too much talent at this position.
Wow, yeah.
I'm going old school on you guys.
That was a good problem to have back then, too.
All right, seriously.
Great problem. Earth, Wind, Fire.
I mean, you had 2,000-yard rushers that one year with Bradshaw and Ward, and you had Jacobs as your cleanup touchdown guy. I mean, it was spectacular. Right. I miss those days. Remember we scored touchdowns back in the day? You know who else remembers?
1-1 a game.
You know who else remembers? Petridge Farm remembers.
Petridge Farms.
By the way, Petridge Farms, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, 2giantgoofballs@mail.com. So we keep on plugging them anyway. I keep saying that over and over again. What the hell? Go for it. Pay us to do it. We will work for cookies. Just saying. Then we can start plugging diabetes supplies after that. It'd be great.
Yeah, right. Get your insulin.
All right. Next up, guys, we got Derek Harmon out of Oregon. He's climbing through the Oregon Trail. Started off there in Michigan State in 22 and 23. Went across the whole entire Oregon Trail there over to Oregon. Didn't get dysentery once, according to rumors. So that's spectacular. That's just absolutely spectacular. I just love that Oregon Trail game still. 6'5", 310 pounds, 21 years old from Detroit, Michigan. Guys, I got to think that was culture shock for him going from Detroit, Michigan to Oregon.
That's a tad bit different. Yeah.
That's a tad bit different. Exactly. This past season, 14 games, 45 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 4 passes deflected, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recovery, 83.9 of the PFF grade, second team all Big Ten. Great size in this kid. Again, 6'5", 310. That's like prototype right there, guys. Strong upper body, takes on blocks well. Another guy with a great rip move. We've got some guys here that have got some like one move that is all of a sudden they got going already, which is great because a lot of the times you hear tackles, edge rushers, people of those positions, you hear, oh, well, they're really strong or they're really fast, but they need to figure out their pass rush moves.
Right.
So to come in with one that's already pretty damn good, that's nice. He's extremely aggressive. Issues wise, does drop his hands at times. And I've seen that on the tape, and I don't like to see that because, and James, again, being a former tackle yourself, you can talk about this, but it's like you got to keep your hands up at all times. If your hands are not up, that offensive tackle, guard, whatever is on you, they're going to be all over you, and they're going to control every single thing you can or cannot do. And it's going to be a lot more of cannot than can do. Another guy that also does have a little bit of good gap discipline issues you see at times there. And again, he's got the primary move of that rip move, which is a really good move. Doesn't have much beyond that. But again, you hear that a lot of times with these kids coming to college because they've been able to get by with natural ability or that one move.
Yeah.
Can't get that at the next level, though.
Yeah, the one thing Derek Harmon is really going to have to work on is that counter move off of his initial move. So sometimes it's a rip to a re-rip. It's a rip to that Reggie White hump move to get a guy to sit down on that. Once that weight sits down, you hump him, across.
We don't talk about Eagles here on this podcast, sir.
Hey, that's the greatest. All right, Eagles.
We'll count him as a Packer. We'll count him as a Packer.
Think about it as a Packer tonight, not an Eagle.
Listen, we already let you fly a Bucks flag behind you. We didn't say anything about that.
And the hat. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Listen,
I wore the blue one though, thinking about you guys. I said, you know what?
I
won't even go red Buccaneers hat tonight.
Listen, I literally today was just driving by the headquarters for the Bucks actually while at work, so it's okay. I get it. I got no hate in the Bucks.
Like you said, the hands being low, and then sometimes that 6'5" frame, he plays high. So when he brings that rip move up, if it doesn't sink and counter, he's now high. And that's one thing you're not going to be able to do against good offensive linemen, that know how to keep that pad level, that get their hands aside. They're going to clinch and hold. And people talking about that's a holding. They hold every single play in the NFL, guys. Everybody who's watching this, we know y'all should know this. So don't go, they can't believe they didn't call a holding. Believe it. That happens. It could be a hold in every play, and every game would be about 8 hours long. So they can't call every single holding play. But once he figures that out to come up with that counter move and to keep his pad level down low, and that's something that can be taught. You know what I mean? That you get to him in the right system with the right team, working that every day when it comes to that pass rush period. That's something, this guy will turn into a great, because he can play the run when he stays disciplined in his gap. It's just coming up with the secondary pass rush move and keeping that pad level down low.
Yeah. Now, for a little bit, when the coaches thought I was going to fill out when I was a kid, they had me playing offensive tackle, thinking that I would fill out instead of just filling out from the belly decades later. What I used to do, because I was giving up weight, even though I was taller than everybody, is point blank, I had the gloves of whatever jersey you're wearing. If I'm facing a team with a red jersey, guess what? My gloves are red that day. You're not going to see these gloves on that jersey. You're not going to be able to tell the difference, point blank. And I've seen that I know plenty of times as well, people doing that kind of stuff. You're right. I mean, every single play, there's a hold. It's just a matter of how egregious is it.
Right.
And that's why you'll see guys, when you see sometimes when they're playing and you see a defensive lineman being held, they'll purposely lean back because it makes it so much more obvious. Now you see that jersey being tucked. Now it's so obvious they got to call it.
Right.
Well, they'll scoot off to the side, whatever, to make that move there. So
create the separation and create the pull. If I can create the pull, I might get the call.
Damn straight. Listen, what's good? A penalty or a sack? Either one gets yards off of them.
Well, you asking the guy, they're gonna want the sack first, but they'll settle for the penalty for sure.
Well, that's to do the dance. I know better. Y'all want to just do the fun dance,
of course.
I know.
I played in the no fun era. You really couldn't do a whole lot. I couldn't imagine. Roger Goodell letting us run down to the opposite end zone and doing this. Come on. Hell nah.
It's still the no fun. You can't even wipe your nose now. Imagine someone's got a cold. They're going to get a fine now when they score a touchdown.
I don't get to see the Lamb celebration thing.
Listen, as a Giants podcast, we are all for anything that pisses off Lamb, but that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's 100%. Utterly insanity.
Right.
All righty. Rob, what's your thoughts there on?
Oh, no, fantastic. I mean, just kind of like we said before, he's tall, so he doesn't get down low enough at times. And I mean, that's controlling the hips. I mean, anytime you try to move two bodies, whoever has the lower hips is the one that's going to win the battle. So
you want the leverage.
Yeah, 100%. So you push up, pop up, and that gets you by. And it actually would help him with some of that holdings with the lower hips, because then when you pop up, it's hard to hold on as you're doing your cut moves and your rips.
Yeah. Well, it's also when you're low like that, you can't get under the pads too, which is the big thing. That's always the trick. Get under. You want under those pads because you can push those shoulder pads up a little bit.
But Drew, at 6'7" and I'm 5'10", when you try to squat down, it's really hard for you to get below me.
Listen, I'm not squatting down at this point here. Maybe in my youth, but at 42 years old, I'm looking to squat down and go to the toilet at this point in my life here. Are you kidding me?
It's a nosebleed.
My knees are hurting. I'm getting up. It sounds like Rice Krispie treats. God damn it, it's horrible.
Snap, crackle, and pop, huh?
Oh wow. Yeah. Trust me, it's bad. It's there's like no cartilage left in these knees whatsoever. Trust me. It's bad. Man. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day I have to start getting shots. And not the good shots I want. All righty. You still got more time, James?
Yeah, let's go. I think I can get through TJ Sanders and
all right. Wait, a spoiler here.
Oh, my bad. Look at me. I'm so sorry.
Next up, you'll be shocked to hear it's TJ Sanders.
Who would have guessed that?
That's what happens when you give a Buccaneer notes.
In case you're wondering, because I always wonder when I hear the initials, TJ does stand for Tyler James, by the way. 6'4", 290 pounds, finally guy under 300. 21 years old, from Marion, South Carolina. This past season, 50 tackles, 7 tackles. 50 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, pass deflected, an 82.4 PFF grade. Second team All SEC. Guy's got very good timing and got a really good first step there, which I like. That's a high football IQ thing. That tells me he's got a brain. I hate to say it that way. Like, listen, not all football players are stupid. Obviously, I'm not trying to be that guy. But listen, whenever you work, James, you can tell me. We're not going to ask you to name names. But when you're in the locker room, you knew who had a brain, who didn't, right?
Yeah. You definitely knew.
Listen, I'm not going to ask for names to try to get you in trouble here. I'm just saying.
Hey, I played with a rough group of guys on that defense, and it'll be like, hey, we know you rode that short bus when you were little, but you got to figure this out. Like, God, that's what we doing. We just going right to the jabs early. Like, wow, okay,
yeah,
let's do this.
The timing thing I'm talking about specifically too is we're talking about things like how to step, when to hit that punch at that point. There's a lot of timing stuff people don't realize. People think it's like a repetition when you play line. It's not. You're trying to time, and not just off of what you do best, but what's going to do best against the person you're going against, regardless of which side of the ball you're on there. There is an art to that. And this is why guys in the line watch film nonstop. Does get off blocks very well. He's got quick, strong hands. He is a little bit too much finesse and maybe needs to add a little power. Again, this is the first guy we got under 300 pounds. That could be a part of that equation there. He does also have trouble with double teams. Again, that's a strength issue there. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick. He's a guy that, again, I could see the Giants having interest in, because I do think he works pretty well as an outside guy on the 3-4 defensive line there. And I think he'd pair well also with Dexter Lawrence, because let's be honest, guys, Dexter Lawrence is getting a double team anytime he's on the field. Yep. TJ Sanders is not who you're going to be worried about. You're going to be worried about Dexter Lawrence. That helps him from not getting doubled, which helps free him up one of the things he's bad at. Like I said, I don't think that'd be a bad fit at all.
Yeah, but I mean, the good thing about TJ Sanders is he has a pretty good pass. I mean, repertoire. Like he's another one when we talk about that word,
repertoire.
Yeah, he will pull different things out and try it. It works. When it works well, he has success. When it doesn't, he has a hard time, which seems like the obvious. But you said something, Drew, that I know a lot of people may go, miss out on. Is you're right. A lot of times when you're watching film, when you're watching your opponent, I'm trying to see what they do well and how they do it well, what makes it work well for them. And the one thing for a lot of finesse defensive tackles is you're working in a smaller space. You don't have the edge like that in. So your moves have to be quick. They have to be more fluid. And you can't always wait, because a good offensive lineman, he wants to wait to give you his hands, because they know once they extend that arm, if you catch that wrist or that elbow, they're exposed. They can't get the claws on you. You know what I mean? So a power rusher will normally set it up where you stab him, you bull him a couple of different times. Now those hands are coming out quicker on a quick pass set. I can now get into those finesse moves because your hands are coming out at me faster. A guy like this, when you finesse, and if you don't give that offensive lineman a threat right away, they just sit back relaxed. And they know after about that 3.5 second mark, the ball is gone. So he's going to have to get into those moves a lot quicker in the league than he did in college in South Carolina, because he's not going to have that type of time to just wait all day to get into his pass rush move.
Yeah. Always that window gets closer and closer. Every single level you go up. That's for sure. What worked in high school doesn't work necessarily in college, doesn't necessarily work in the NFL at that point there. The competition gets closer and closer to level if you're elite.
Yeah, but just like what Drew, just piggybacking on what both you guys said, he's got a high football IQ. He does the work. He studies the film. And that's something
I'm not piggybacking, just for the record. I have bad knees. We already established this, okay?
Well, I'm the one to piggyback off you guys. Fine, I'll piggyback both you guys. Let's go.
I'm not sure how that works, and I'm not going to be part of it. This is the last time James ever comes to the show. He's like, I thought I was here to talk about defensive tackles. These guys were trying to play piggyback here now.
Pigs in a blanket. Jeez. But yeah, he's got a high football IQ. You study the tape. You learn when you can, make your moves, when you have to do your finesse, and that's something you coach with. So, hits the weight room, works on his finesse, does his tape, does his work, and he learns to work faster. That's something that you can improve on, and he could be a good player in this league.
Yeah, like I said, I do actually like him pairing up a lot with Dexter Lawrence there, that's for sure. And the biggest takeaway from this is James said I'm right and I know football. Just saying, score for me on that one. All right, now I know James got to go. He's got his own show going on here shortly at 9:00 there. James, before we go, also because Deb put a comment on here and she's a regular of ours. So thank you, James, for coming on. Great to hear from someone who has played the position and definitely I think we're second and third. That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on. Always nice to hear from somebody who's played the game because obviously you know at a different level than we do at that point there. So it's nice to see. I'm also going to go ahead and put the link here to your YouTube channel here for everybody that wants to go ahead and follow your stuff. But do me a favor before you go, plug your stuff there. Let people know where they can find you, what kind of shows you got a couple of shows there on your channel there. So
yeah, I got a whole lot going on sometimes, man. James Canada, former defensive tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can find me on Games Pewter Perspective. You guys probably won't come to find me there because that's Buccaneers talk. But if you like sports variety, you can catch me and my partner, the Buff Nerd Jay Stoggs, on Big Game Sports Buzz, and that's in the Big Game Sports and Entertainment Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah, just ignore that Eagle show you have.
You see, I didn't even mention it. I wasn't going to do that to you. I was going to make it.
Listen, those guys are good guys too. So seriously, like, listen, I'm one of those people. I'll watch anything that's football related, and a lot of times, and I'm on your show all the time, and a lot of times when I'm on there, I'm just editing our show, and I'm like, I need something in the background to watch and listen to at that point. It's ADD brain going. So it's. So, like I said, great stuff there. Definitely recommend it to anybody who is like ourselves, and likes sports shows that are on YouTube and all. And obviously, if you're on this, you probably do. So
So tonight we're talking a little bit of Luka Doncic coming back to Dallas, since that's the area I live in now. The reception that he got from the fans, March Madness talk, and then a little bit more NFL draft talk and stuff like that too. So that's what we got going on tonight. So it should make for a good one because we got a couple of good old hell no's to throw out there at the people for some things that
hell no.
Hell no. Yeah, can't believe it. Can't believe it.
All right, man. Big game, James Canada. Thank you very much again for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
You were always welcome. Appreciate it, man.
So long.
All righty, guys. So we still got a lot more defensive tackles to go through, guys. A lot more defensive tackles. It's crazy. I'm telling you, this is that year. Again, I keep saying this is that year for defensive tackles. So let's get next up with a guy we actually mock drafted yesterday. We did our final mock draft, which, by the way, TJ Sanders we got as well. We did get 2 into that draft. But Darius Alexander out of Toledo. And it's not often you hear, us talk about a player from Toledo. And I feel like this kid is a guy who benefited a lot last year. Quinyon Mitchell obviously was excellent prospect in the draft last year, went to the Eagles, so we'll ignore that part of it. But a guy that Rob and I were extremely high on and obviously proven to be correct. He did have an excellent rookie year. But when you watched his tape, Alexander was the guy who kind of popped out, and he followed it up with another great year this year, and it's really kind of put him onto the map there at that point. Plus the fact that he flat out excelled at the combine. People do love that always. The combine people that love that. 6'4", 310 pounds. This past season, 12 games, 40 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 1 interception, which, by the way, is for a touchdown. Not often you hear about guys scoring touchdowns in the defensive tackles position. 4 passes deflected, 90.1 PFF grade. 3rd team All-MAC in 23 and 24. And like I said, the big thing with him is combine performance. Really, what people already kind of knew who he was from seeing the tape last year at Mitchell, and a lot of scouts had that in the back of their mind. But then what he did at the combine was just great. He's stronger than his size would suggest. Again, 310 pounds, which is a nice weight overall for a defensive tackle there. It's not ridiculously low, but it's not the 340, 350 defensive tackle that you go, this guy's a beast, but he plays like that kind of guy. He's great anchor when needed. He's a run stopper. As far as the negatives, he is an over pursuer, meaning that if he's supposed to go, if he's going after, like I say, a running back, for example, he will go off to where he thinks that running back is going, to the point where he can't pivot and change if that running back cuts. So that's an issue at times in run defense. You got to stay in your lane. You got to have your gap covered at that point. He does also lack a little finesse. Like I said, he's a strong guy, but he doesn't necessarily have the speed in the way he plays at that point to go along with that. But listen, you're seeing more and more small school guys all of a sudden coming out there and making a little bit of an impact there in the league. I think he's going to be a 2nd-round pick. I'm intrigued by him. I think he's a guy that's going to be a little more risk than some of the guys we've talked about so far. That's for sure. Whenever you're coming from that kind of a school, there's a risk involved. But I do think he's going to be a pretty decent player in this league.
Yeah, no, definitely I think so. Like, smallest school, like, he beat up on his competition, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. And like, when you talk about finesse, like, that's, you start teaching more technique, and then which would help, complement his size, which will lead into some finesse. You can't really teach the proper finesse part, but you can improve a lot of that with technique.
Oh yeah. So like I said, not a bad option, that's for sure there, especially as we're going to be looking. Like I said, I really think day 2 to maybe the 4th round, like, there's going to be a whole lot of tackles taken off the board there. And I think that's when the Giants will probably make their move for D tackle. So it's a good chance this kid really could be a New York Giant there after when the whole thing's all said and done. Next up, Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. Ohio. 6'3", 327 pounds, 22 years old, from Wanasas, Virginia. We have any Virginia people to clarify to make sure I'm right in the pronunciation. Wanasas, Virginia. He's a 23. He was a 2nd team All Big Ten. 24, 13 games, 46 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. Pass deflected, and a 79.2 PFF grade. 3rd team All Big Ten. He's a big body. He's quick off the line. He wins one-on-ones. He sheds blocks pretty well. Now, here's the weird thing. He gets into the backfield, but it's almost like, listen, I hate to kind of compare these two guys because it's different positions, but I'm going to throw it out there because as a Giant fan, we're going to recognize what this means. Almost like Kayvon Thibodeau, like where, like, he doesn't quite get to the quarterback, but he does just enough to disrupt the play at times. That's the kind of player Williams is.
Yeah.
He's that guy that does that. He doesn't quite get to the quarterback, but he does cause disruption in a way. He does need to get stronger, and I think that's part of why he has a little trouble getting to the quarterback at times. He gets kind of mauled by some of the bigger guys to a certain degree. And on tackling specifically, I've seen it plenty of times watching the tape where he doesn't quite wrap up the runner. Now, he does have shorter arms. I know some people are attributing that to, that being the issue. We mentioned a couple of guys here today that have a little bit shorter arms. I didn't mention that issue with them. So I'm not giving that as a, hey, this is what it is, as an excuse, as a full-on reason. But it's a potential. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, listen, people learn to work with their, physical attributes, like big, small, one-handed, like, people figure it out. I mean, I don't know how many one-handed tackles are out there, but
I bet you never thought you'd say big, small, one-handed on the show.
Yeah. Arr, here we go. Another goofball first.
But yeah, like I said, I think he's a decent player. I do think this is where you get kind of a clear cut to like a next level of players. Like I think you got, Mason Graham, obvious number 1, Nolen number 2, Grant number 3. Then you got Harmon, Sanders, and Alexander, to me, are in a group unto themselves of that next tier. I think Williams kind of starts that tier right below that. It's still a good player, still going to be probably a round 2 guy. I wouldn't be upset if we got him, but I wouldn't be as happy as if we got a guy like Sanders or Alexander in the second round there, or as ecstatic if we somehow got Grant in that second round. But like I said, not a bad player. I don't think he's got a high ceiling. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be a good, dependable tackle in this league, but he's probably not going to be the guy that you ever go, oh my God, thank God we drafted this kid. I can't believe we got him in the second round years later. But later on, you can be like, he was a good second round pick. Like you could do both. There's neither one are exclusive to the other at that point, you know?
Yeah, this is true. So, like, I mean, there's definitely players back then, like us talking about, Drew Phillips, or talking about, talking about Tracy, even though it's kind of new. Like, when you draft him, like, who? What? Really? You don't go, oh my God, thank God we need this guy. We need to fix this position. But that's easy. Like, that was a good pick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I really think he's going to be like in this league. I really think that's probably where he's going to be the best at there. All right. Next up, we got a guy who I feel like he's a little underrated in this draft. And there's inconsistencies, and we'll go over why. But Deion Walker coming out of Kentucky. They're not just known for their fried chicken, guys. They're also known for their football players. 6'6", 345 pounds. That's a big guy. 21 years old, from Detroit, Michigan. He was an All-American in 23. This past year, 11 games, 37 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 2 passes deflected, a fumble recovery, and 71.2 PFF grade. 3-time second-team All-SEC in 22, 23, and 24. He's got great size. He's actually pretty agile for his size as well. Very good at plugging the gaps. Like, this is a run stopper kind of guy. He's also a pocket collapser. Again, not a sack artist, but he's that guy who pushes that tackle back, forces them to the outside, so one of the edge guys can go ahead and clean it up from there. Got a great swim move. The biggest issue with him overall, and this is why I can't rank him any higher, his play is inconsistent. Like, he looks amazing some plays, and he looks like a guy that wouldn't even get drafted others. Like, there really is that kind of inconsistency there. He also needs to work on his hands, specifically in pass rush as well. He got that swim move there at that point where those that don't know, when I was saying swim, you're pushing him there and you're putting your arm over. It's kind of hard to do on the webcam here, but you're putting your arm over, kind of like, so you just kind of push him out of the way there like that once he's already kind of going over, and you can get around the defender. But you got to also move with your hands at that point, and you got to win that way. He just doesn't seem to do that as well. He needs some work, and there's a risk involved. Now, if we talked a minute ago about Tyreek Williams at Ohio State, this is a guy with a high floor, but not the highest ceiling. This is the reverse of that. Walker, to me, is going to be a boom or bust kind of guy. Like, he's going to be a guy that's sitting on the bench, or he's going to be a guy that really develops into a really good tackle in this league. Like, if you're someone who really needs a tackle, a starting level tackle, a potential difference maker for your defense, and you're getting to this point, because I think he's going to go round 3, and you don't have one yet, and you want to go for the home run, go for it. You might swing and miss. You might get the home run. But that's what I feel like Walker is.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
So
I agree. He doesn't swim so well. His name should be Rocky.
He doesn't swim so well. Oh my God. Womp. All righty.
Rocky 3? No? All right.
Okay, no. Rocky 3? How long has been since I've seen Rocky 3? That's the one, Mr. T, right?
Yes.
Okay. Clubber Lang. Yes. I pity the fool.
Clubber Lang.
I thought so.
Yeah. Hey, can he swim with a name like Rock?
No, but he has a swim move. It's reverse.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, on to the next guy here. On to the next time. Let's see what random 80s quote Rob has for this one here. Alfred Collins out of Texas. 6'5", 320 pounds, 23 years old. This past season, 16 games, 55 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, a sack, 7 passes deflected, a forced fumble, and an 87.2 PFF grade. Second team All-American, first team All-SEC. Kid's got the prototype size, again, 6'5", 320 pounds. That's a great matchup there. He's got long arms. He's great at pass block breakups there too. Like, again, he got 7 passes deflected this past year. And what I mean by that is because those long arms, he knows when to put them up to time it right to try to bat the ball down at the line of scrimmage there. He's a good run stopper. He is slow at the snap though. His play is also inconsistent. He also, and this is the one that gets me, to be honest, I feel like I could have put him higher than the last 2 guys we talked about here if it wasn't for this. He seems disengaged if he feels like the play is not near him. That's a big no-no for me. Like, that's a no coming back from kind of move for me. If I don't think you're in 110%, and that's a little corny, I was like, okay, give more than 100%. But if you're not in like that, that's something that I feel like causes friction in the team eventually. And what I mean by that is either people get upset because they see it in the film room, or it gets contagious.
Or you missed a big play because you weren't paying attention because you were disengaged.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, like I said, we've had enough issues between, Deonte Banks alone last year with some issues that not a kid I'm interested in personally because of that. He's also an inconsistent pass rusher. I do think someone's going to take him in the 3rd round. I don't think he's, worth this kind of player at that point. I think you need the right locker room to put him in. And I don't think that's us.
Yeah, I mean, where are you thinking? Kansas City?
There's a lot of teams that have a decent locker room. It's not like the Giants are like one of many, many, many with the bad offense, bad locker room issues. We just lack leaders. So we keep on letting them go elsewhere. There's plenty of teams that don't have that issue. Like I said, I'm not going to. There's probably 10 teams I can list you right now that I would sit there and say good locker room.
Like the Raiders or Jacksonville.
I would have said 11 before the 49ers lost all their players, but I'm just saying, like that's where he needs to go. He needs to go where he's going to go into a system where go, this is how we play football in blank. Get with the damn program.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Let's pay the bills real quick there, and then we're going to go ahead and got a couple more players here for you guys to talk about. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more players, guys. We're through 9. 6 more to go. 9.
9.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Membership start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
And of course, we also, have the newly formed 2 Giant Goofball shop now as well. 2 Giant Goofballs.
Fancy.
-shop.fourthwall.com. We'll go ahead and put that link for you guys also in the comments section in case you wanted to get any merch from the show here. And of course, you always have the option of doing a super chat on YouTube. We also, of course, have the option for the the stars on Facebook here. As I'm losing Rob. I'm hitting way too many buttons here. Way too many buttons. What's going on? Who's got the buttons? Not the gumdrop buttons.
Not the gumdrop buttons.
You know what? We have a guest here, and I put all these extra things on, so we had extra screens. I just have too much now going on. All right, guys, and keep the comments coming here. I do see you guys with the comments as well. We're going to get some of the comments here later on once we finish up with the last couple of defensive tackles too. So, all right, let's get into the next one here for you guys. And another guy, SEC-wise, Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. So, intriguing player here. This is a guy that I think that another late day 2 kind of guy, like 3rd round pick guy, 6'3", 315 pounds, 23 years old, from Sacramento, California. Played also at Arizona State from 20 to 22. So been around for 5 years now. That's why he's 23 years old, a little bit of older side for a guy coming into the draft. Young a couple of years ago in the draft, but now we're getting back to regular draft ages. 13 games overall this year, 18 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, a 69.4 PFF grade. Now, before I get to the pros and cons, guys, if you didn't realize the stat line I gave you was pure poop, I'm just going to call it like it is. That's not a good stat line. This is, like every year there's a couple of guys that you go, I see things, I see flashes on film. I see the athleticism in drills. I see the athleticism at the combine, at the pro day, and that gets people excited. This is that guy. Now, you have a couple options here. Either what he does on practice and that kind of stuff just simply doesn't translate to game day, or he wasn't getting coached right in Tennessee. I don't know which one. I'm not gonna sit there and say. But he's athletic as hell. He's agile. He explodes off the line. He's got good pass rush moves. He's a good run stopper. He does lack power. For a guy who's 315 pounds, he plays a guy who's 280. He gets to the quarterback, but he doesn't get very quickly. Like, it's got to be the quarterback held onto the ball too long, and that's why he got sacked kind of play for him to get to him. He also has trouble with double teams. Again, this is a thing you don't expect out of a 315-pound guy. We're talking about T.J. Sanders at 290. You expect that from him.
Yeah.
You don't expect that from a guy with 25 pounds on him, So I feel like there's got to be some issue with technique there to be 315 pounds and having these kind of issues.
Yeah, that's either he's the weakest 315-pounder I know, but
yeah,
usually he stems from technique.
That'd be a weird award to get. You, sir, are the weakest 315-pound player I have ever seen in my life. Here you go.
Thank you for your flabby remarks.
Here's your complimentary bag of protein powder
And Doritos.
Good combo. But like I said, I feel like this is the guy that if you need a tackle and you're at that round 3 stage and you've watched his tape and you go, you know what? He does this. If he did this, it'd work a lot better. That's the guy that, you take the shot on. And it's like I said, it's going to be a boom or bust because you see the athleticism, you see the agility, you see the motor. You see these kind of things there. He's going to be the boomer or bust guy. And listen, sometimes you go with the safe pick. Sometimes you go boom or bust.
Sometimes you go boom, 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 go bust.
Well, you just gotta figure out in your head, like, what percentage you think is this guy a boom. And if it's a high enough percentage for you and it's worth the risk, you go for it. And that's what I feel like Norman Lott is. He's that guy that some people are to go, you know what? I can fix this. Kind of like a weird relationship. I can fix this.
Yeah.
I can make them exactly what I need.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you point blank that I don't buy into that as much because he's 23 years old. 23 years old. He's been in college football for 5 years. He went to 2 different schools that both produce NFL players. So I'm not going to buy it. That's why he's not higher on the list. But there are some guys, I'm telling you, that will have him higher on this list.
Yeah, I mean, you go to 2 different schools that are known for the lines, and you don't improve it.
Yeah,
it's probably a him problem and not the coach's problem.
Exactly. All right, next up. Now, this might get a little confusing at first because you might go, wait a minute, hasn't he played in the league for years? This is Jordan Phillips, but not the Jordan Phillips you're probably thinking of at that point there. Jordan Phillips from Maryland, not the former Giant, former Bill, I think Cowboy last year we traded him to.
I think so.
This is a different one. He plays over at Maryland.
Fresh.
Also started off in Tennessee in 22. 6'4", 310 pounds, just 20 years old from Ocoee, Florida, which I'm the Florida guy. I was probably supposed to know how to pronounce that. I have no clue. Ocoee. I'm guessing that's like South Florida. That just seems like a South Florida kind of name. By the way, Rob, your camera froze.
Oh, you froze.
Oh, I froze?
Oh, no.
Okay, I see myself. You know what? Actually, it's just outside of Orlando. So it's Central Florida. I had to look it up. Anyway, this past year, 29 tackles in 12 games with it. Oh, we lost Rob there. I knew it was going to happen. That's why I warned him. We got 29 tackles in 12 games with 1 tackle for loss and a 71.4 PFF grade. Again, we talked about this a minute ago. We're talking about, Norman Lott out of Tennessee. This is a kid that you're drafting him flat out for potential. You're drafting him because of the fact that he's 20 years old. You see the raw ability. And like I said, he's just 20. Like I said, Norman Lott was 23 years old. This kid's 20. By the time he's 23, he's going to be almost done with his rookie contract. You're going to draft him for the potential of what you see and the rawness of what you see there. He's strong. He takes on blocks well. He's got a high football IQ. He has a set of moves that he used to escape blocks and does it pretty decent there. He's athletic. The downfalls, not a single sack in college. 3 years, no sacks. That's a pretty bad stretch there. He does have shorter arms. He's a little slow off the snap at that point. He has a tendency to leave his gaps when he is shedding blocks there. Again, he's gonna need time to develop, guys. And that's what it boils down to. Do you like him? Do you see the rawness? Do you see what you like at that point as far as traits in him? Do you think what you see that he's not doing right, like getting off the snap right, is this coachable? Is this a technique issue? Is this something you can show him how to fix? And if you think you can, then you take the shot. If you don't, you move on. He's off your board. But 20 years old, that alone is going to be enticing to NFL teams. Now, I'll say this. If my eyes, Phillips should have gone back to school. He had another year. He should have gone back one more year. I think this is a case that somebody, for whatever reason, got out a little earlier. I don't know if it's because something going on in Maryland that happens sometimes. You see players leave a little earlier than they potentially should because they got somebody behind them that's developing, about to take their spot. Sometimes you get kids that just flat out don't like going to college. They want to go into the pros. They want to go to the big game. So, Jordan Phillips, intriguing guy. But again, another guy that you really got to watch the film. You really got to see what you think as far as the rawness and see what you can fix and what you can't fix there. But like I said, he's probably going to go mid-round 3 to round 4 at that point, like towards the end of day 2 or early part of day 3 there. So, all right, next up, Joshua Farmer out of Florida State. We haven't had a lot of Florida State guys this year. That's a school that usually produces some talent here. Definitely an off year for them. 6'3", 318 pounds from Port St. Joe in Florida. In 23, he was second team All ACC this past season. 12 games, 32 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and a 63.5 PFF grade. The biggest reason people have liked him is because not even what he did in the regular seasons, what he did in the routes afterwards there. He went to the Senior Bowl, really impressed, did very well at the Combine as well. Now, again, I don't care about the Combine too much, guys. I've said it before, Underwear Olympics, I definitely subscribe to that theory. But when you got a guy who impresses at the Senior Bowl, that is something that catches my eye because you're playing against better talent at the Senior Bowl than you do in a regular college game. Does that mean they're all guaranteed to succeed? No, of course not. The Giants had a thing for drafting Senior Bowl MVPs left and right there. It didn't work out for them. But when you see a guy like Quinyon Mitchell last year, for example, the second time we'll bring him up this episode, but he excelled and he validated what people thought may be the case, but they weren't sure because he was coming from a small school. So here's a guy that you saw on paper some of the stuff he does, and you go, okay. Not much on the field there, but I see potential in him. And then you see him in that kind of game, and keep in mind, it's totally different coaching staffs. It makes you wonder if there was a coaching issue at Florida State. It really does. He didn't have a lot of help there either. Again, the team was not very good this year. Great arm length, strong. He had 11 sacks, guys, in 25 starts from the defensive tackle position. That's going to attract people, that's for sure, because worse comes to worse. And if you need to give him time to develop, which you probably should because he is very raw, you have that ability to go ahead and put him in specifically as a passing down lineman and then develop him from there. He still has a role he can step in during his first year at the NFL and not go, okay, what do we do with this kid? You know what you can do with him. You can put him in that kind of role, and it's not crazy to do. Again, he's going to need time to develop. I think you also need to fix what he does in his lower body, which, lower body, guys, is so important in football. It's not even funny. It's your base. It's your anchor. But it's just stiff with him. He just doesn't have that fluid motion at that point, and keeping his legs moving and keeping able to shift your weight and everything is so key when either one of the line positions, whether it's defensive or offensive. And he lacks that. Again, this is the rawness stuff. This is the coaching stuff I'm talking about there. And that's why I do think with him it's coaching. Now, is it coaching because he's not getting the coaching he needs? Or is it coaching because he's not listening to his coach? I'm not there. I'm not going to say which one it is. But either one of them, it's a coaching issue. Point blank. So, all righty. Next up, we got a very interesting player in this draft here coming up. J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss. The second school now we've had two different guys at. So he started off his college career at Auburn in 20 and 21. So he's been around a little bit there. As we got Rob back here now. Let's see here. Let's get Rob back here. No, not Roberto. We want the Rob one there. Let's get rid of the Roberto one. That's just a fun one. But
hey,
there he is.
Hey,
with the fawns there going on. So anyway, Pegues is 6'2", 325 pounds, 23 years old, from Oxford, not England, but Mississippi. Very big difference.
Ooh, very big
difference. One of them is known for being distinguished. The other one is known for having good mud pie.
Distinguished in a different way.
This past year, 13 games, 42 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 1 pass deflected, which is as many Mississippi listeners as we now have, 1 fumble recovery, and a 74.6 PFF grade. He's physical, strong upper body. He's good against double teams, which is always nice. Active hands. I love that at a defensive tackle. I love that at any kind of lineman in general, offensive, defensive. I want like that fist of fury going at that point there, which sounds bad, but no, it's a good thing in this. So, you want the hands always moving, always looking for that weakness, always looking for what move you can put on the opposing player doing there. He moves his lower body well. Here's the downfalls. Slow off the snap. Again, you got to be able to be that first guy. It's like, okay, I'll say this because, Rob, you'll get this reference, being in sales yourself for many years. Once you give somebody a pitch and a quote, you shut up because he who talks first loses.
Pretty much.
See,
you let them talk you right into the sale.
As a lineman, he who moves first wins. That's 100% what goes on because you have the upper hand at that point. He's got to get better at that. He's also not quick. His pad level does get a little too high at times. And he's 6'2". Again, we talked about people much taller than him. That's a form issue. That's a fixable thing. I think he's going to go round 4. That's where I think. Now, what's interesting about him is he's not just a defensive tackle. But wait, there's more. Act now. And you also get yourself an intriguing offensive player as well. He is, for those of us old enough to remember this, or just those who have football history, he is the college football version of the fridge.
Oh,
he's been playing running back this past year. He actually started off as a tight end in his college career. This year he had 21 rushes for 69 yards. Now here's the crazy part. Of those 21 rushes, guess how many of them were touchdowns? 7. 1/3 of his carries ended up as a touchdown. Now, granted, that's obviously skewed because he used him as a goal line back. I'm not going to try to say otherwise. It's not like he's doing 90-yard runs down the field here. But
you're looking at a guy to like, between half a yard to 3 yards at the line.
Listen, it's an intriguing thing. You hear about, short yardage and goal line is such an important thing. I mean, look at what's going on with Philadelphia with the tush push and that kind of stuff there. Like, this is a tush that you probably don't even need to push at this point. I mean, 325 pounds running full steam ahead. He's going to get a yard.
Yeah.
He's going to figure out a way to get a yard.
Yeah. When you look at 21 rushes for 69 yards, that's an average of 2.3 or 2.2.
That's more.
Sorry, 3.2.
Hooked on phonics did not work for you.
Nope. Dyslexia. Here you go. 3.2, 8571428. There you go.
Okay. Are you doing pie now? Look what's going on. But
that wasn't pie at all.
Pie. Mississippi mud pie. Anyway, so he's also got 8 career catches as well. So again, he was a tight end when he started off his career in Auburn. So again, this is a guy that if you're counting on a starter, I think he doesn't go into that role. I think he's a good backup tackle. Now, listen, if you want to use him in this offensive role, you got that option.
you know what he has the ability to be? Maybe not as good, but a Taysom Hill kind of player. He's not just
it's a little different body build, that's for sure.
well, no, but he's not a great tight end. He's not a good tight end. He is not a good running back. He's not a good quarterback. But you put him into certain situations, and he can excel handily at each of those positions if you use him right at the right opportunity. Like, there was 1 week, going back to fantasy, Taysom Hill was a top 3 quarterback.
And you could bring it to fantasy.
Well, just saying, but like, you bring a player like Sin, like you get him cheap because you're going to get him in the 4th round. You're going to get him in the 5th round. And you have the ability to use him as your backup.
You would get so many points on your defense. Like, does he count as a defensive touchdown in fantasy?
I'm not saying that. But
I'm just saying the diversity.
I'm just saying the diversity of the player. Yeah. So you're not just getting like your backup, tackle here. You're getting some that you might just put on the goal line.
And we've said before, when you're looking at a guy who's going to be a bench player, which is where I think he starts off at. I think we're now at the point where we're talking about guys who are probably not going to be starters here to start off with here. I think Pegues is one of those guys you can go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to put you on the bench, but you're going to make this team because we also know we can use you in a goal line situation, a 4th and 1 kind of situation, that kind of thing. And listen, we're going to make a second reference to him. Even Eddie Lacy wasn't 325 pounds. Like, that's a big goddamn running back at that point there. You know,
well, that's what I'm saying too. Like,
Brandon Jacobs wasn't that big either.
You're going for 2, and someone calls a penalty, and now you're half of the distance to the goal line.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like I said, it's an intriguing kind of thing to put in the fold here as a potential reason why you go, you know what? Which one do I want of these guys? Okay, let's go with this guy because he brings that to the table as well as nobody else does.
Or even like you said, he started off as a tight end. Yep, set up and running back. You set up a little play action, and he runs a little screen or a little up the middle, and 2-point conversion like that. That's what he was utilized for.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, next up. CJ West. Yeah, you don't hear a lot of players at Indiana often from football. I feel like that's becoming a thing more and more. So I do want to give them a little kudos on that because I feel like that wasn't something you saw on a regular basis. It's a basketball school, but you are starting to see more and more of that going on there, and that's something you got to give kudos to when you see that. That's for sure. So, again, out of Indiana, started off in Kent State from 20 to 23, 6'2", 317 pounds, 22 years old, from Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago.
Yeah, he probably grew up a Bears fan. The Bears.
Bears.
In 24, 13 games, 40 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and an 88.3 PFF grade. He's athletic. He's strong from the and he's quick from the snap. He's got a good push, decent handwork. Here's the problems: short arms. Plays too high. And what I mean by that, we talked about before the leverage game. This is not him just not leaning forward and having a strong anchor base like that. It's literally his legs. Like, it seems like almost at times like his knees aren't even bent when he's on the field, or if they are, they barely are. That's purely a coachability thing.
Yeah,
like you got to be able to, and I mean coachability meaning again, it's the coach or it's him not taking the coaching. I don't know which one to blame it on. I'm not in the locker room, but one of those two scenarios is definitely going on. He's got a very good bull rush, but he's got no solid pass rush move past that, and he also has a tendency to leave his gaps. Now, again. He went to Kent State, guys. What do I always say with people that went to small schools? You need a little time to develop them past that. It's almost like if high school is a 1 and college is a 2, it's like a 1.5. Not trying to be mean about it, but let's be honest. Kent State is not a school that produces nonstop NFL talent here. I'm glad he went to a bigger school, so we got a little more viewed. Again, not that Indiana is the massive football school there, but let's be honest, he went to Kent State. He might not be a guy you talk about as drafting, but now he's being talked about it. He's a day 3 guy. He's a developmental guy. I don't think he's going to be crazy good in this league. I'm not going to say that, but I do think there's a place for him as a rotational defensive tackle in this league. And like I said, if he's a day 3 pick, that's not a bad pickup at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Something Gorgon,
yeah, potential to be a decent guy this league.
Possibility.
All right, next up, talk about a guy with large potential, huge potential,
ginormous potential,
just big and huge in general here.
Yeah,
Desmond Watson from Florida. Actually, he's from my neck of the woods. He's from Plant City, Florida here, which is only like half an hour from where I live at that point there. Known for its annual strawberry festival. If you enjoy strawberries, they actually produce more strawberries than I think anywhere else in the country, by the way. They do really good strawberry milkshakes there, too. The people that sell them on the strawberries on the side of the road, they make strawberry milkshakes. They have blenders right there and they make them. Oh, my God, they're so good. They are so good. Like, literally, that strawberry was picked today. And it's in your milkshake.
How about a nice strawberry low-carb beer?
It's very good. It's very good. Actually, they do strawberry cider. There is the cidery that does strawberry cider there, and it's damn good. Anyway, another one does strawberry lemonade, by the way, too. It's very good. 6'6", 464 pounds, guys.
Yes, that was not a mistake.
Clear.
Not a typo.
Not a typo. 464 pounds. Now, what's interesting is no one seems to know his age. We talked about this sometimes with drafting players. Like sometimes you can't find their birthday, you can't find their age. Listen, the NFL knows their age, obviously, but I couldn't find it. Now, even his Wikipedia page said he's either 21 or 22. I've never seen a Wikipedia page say he's either this age or that age.
His age is elusive.
It's elusive. More elusive than he is at 464 pounds. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, 100%.
This past year,
got lost in
24, 20 tackles, 1 pass deflected. Listen, he's massive. He's like practically unmovable, flat out. He's got extremely long arms. Again, 6'6". He's not exactly a short guy too with that. He's strong. He's actually got a little bit of decent stamina actually for that size. You kind of think of that size and you go, okay, this is the guy you're probably going to put out there for run stopping abilities, and that's it. He's going to stay on the field a lot more far than you would expect. He does lack a pass rush here. He also does not move well laterally, which again, you kind of expect in this scenario.
Yeah. Not break a leg or tear the ACL.
Here's the interesting part. He's literally gained weight every year. Like he's still like getting larger. I don't want to say growing. He's 21 or 22. You're probably done growing. It's not like he's going through puberty right now.
He's growing out his hips. It's not growing out his...
still growing. And that's a concern. Like, is he going to approach 500 pounds in the year or two? Like, you can't play in NFL at that size. And even 464, to be honest with you guys.
He's probably going to lose some weight.
If he plays at a regular, starting position, let's say hypothetically, I don't think he's a starter. Let me be clear on that right now. He's a day 3 pick. If he plays the reps that a starter would have, I think it's probably the better way of wording that. Imagine the knee issues, the hip issues, the back issues, just playing football at 464 pounds. Now, also, imagine trying to move someone who's 464 pounds. And that's where the injury is going to come into. I think someone's
You ever run into a brick wall?
No, I can't say I have. Don't want to. But I feel like this is the kid that someone's going to pick up specifically, be a run-stopping defensive tackle that you put in obvious run-stopping plays, goal line stays, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, those kind of plays. And he's going to have a role like that. And that will be his role, point blank, is to clog up the middle of the field and 464 pounds. Guys, we've talked about pies before that are 160 pounds. I think probably the latest with Tank Dell and guys like that. And what's his name? The corner that from Ole Miss that they drafted the Commanders a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 177. Just imagine Tank Dell running right into him.
160 pounds versus 464 pounds.
Down by contact.
Yeah. Out for the year.
Yeah.
Like done. Oh my gosh. But again,
run into that guy.
I feel like people talk all the time about like things like, oh, people are trying to plug people into a stereotype of what the NFL player should look like. There's a reason why you don't see guys that are abnormal size in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, 464 pounds. He's going to be too slow for a lot of things. He's going to be a guy that can't play special teams at that size. Can you imagine him fumbling around there trying to like go get a kick returner? Like he'll barely get past the midway field mark. Like
he's gonna chase him like Mike Myers in Halloween.
So that's what you're doing. If you draft him, you're literally drafting him to be a run-stopping defensive tackle. You're bringing our obvious running downs, and that's it. No special teams ability, no pass rush ability. That to me is a guy that I'm not too keen on. As much as it'd be entertaining to see him, because it's crazy to see a 464-pound guy in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work out well. And I think even if he flashes and I'm wrong and he has more talent than I think he does, he's not going to have a long career because he's going to have injuries. And that means he's not going to be available for you, which means it's not a good pick. So I would personally pass on it.
Yeah. How long do you think it would take him to come back from that ACL tear?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, no one even talked about him in the draft until he weighed in at the combine.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were some talks because he's so massive, but it wasn't like anything to the combine.
Yeah, I mean, the heaviest player before him, for the record, was Daniel Fillell, who weighed in at 384 pounds. In 2022,
he's got 80 pounds on him. My God,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's insanity.
He's got half a tank Dell on him.
Like, that's insanity. I just want that to be understood. Like, that's how big this guy is. Like, this is not normal. Like, this is not going to be something that you go, oh, this could be the new normal.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron Gibson was the former heaviest player. I'm going to say it already because I'm assuming this kid's going to be drafted and he's going to play somewhere. He played for the Lions, Cowboys, and Bears. Oh my. 410 pounds. He's got 54 pounds on him. He's 54 pounds heavier than the heaviest person to ever play in the league, guys. It's insanity.
So
we talked about a guy in this. I think TJ was the latest guy at 290 pounds. He's got 170 pounds in him. He's 1.5 TJ Sanders.
My God.
Just throwing it out there, guys. Insanity. So, all right. Well, that's going to call it a night for us here, guys. I guess 15 tackles. Again, I'm hell bent on pretty much every mock we've done. I think we've done 2 defensive tackles. Like, to me, it's an obvious need. It's a great matchup, need and strength of the draft. So I do expect to see 2 of these guys, the 15 we just talked about, potentially in the Giants uniform here. So we'll find out there in a couple weeks as the draft is coming quickly. Next week, guys, we still got to do a couple of positions here. We got to try to clean some of this up here for you guys. So we have all of our profiles out before the draft hits. We still got to do guards. We still got to do edge, linebacker, corner, safety. So keep an eye out, guys. We're going to have a lot more information coming here as this draft gets closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. It's coming down quickly. So we'll be back again for you guys Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch/X, Twitter. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Twitch. I went to Twitch. Twitter/X. I don't know why I get this too confused. Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, OnlyFans. Whoa.
Who's OnlyFans?
My LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we are available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms. It's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. Again, guys, if you haven't already I deactivated that. He kept messaging me. We are, of course, like I said, going to be back again for you guys on Monday, talking more draft selections there. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button, tell a friend about the show. Point blank, if it wasn't for y'all, we suck at marketing. We wouldn't have grown at all. So appreciate you guys. Yes. /blame you guys at the same time. So appreciate you guys coming in as always. Again, special thank you to Big Game James Canada for popping on the show here and discussing some of the
James,
bigger names defensive tackles with us. Always nice to get somebody who played in the NFL and get their perspective at that point there. A lot of knowledge he gave too in a very quick amount of time with us too.
Yes.
Plus, he said I was right multiple times, so I know I like the guy for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
Jay, where were you tonight?
Just say it. Yeah, where was Jay? Where's Jay? Jay. All right, guys. We'll see you guys Monday again. Appreciate you guys for watching. As always, have a happy, safe weekend. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
G-Man.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.